You didn't click on this video by accident. This wasn't a coincidence. This was divine alignment. The moment your finger tapped the screen, the moment this title called out to your spirit, the universe was whispering, "You're ready now." Because the truth is, your name has already been spoken in rooms you haven't entered. It's already glowing on scrolls you've never seen. It's already been etched into the fabric of a future that's calling you forward. And that future is dripping in abundance. But before you step into it, you need to hear this. Every delay you've experienced, every closed door, every silent night when your heart screamed for clarity, none of it was random. You were not being punished. You were being positioned. You've spent seasons in confusion, trying to figure out why things kept falling apart, why money seemed allergic to your energy, why opportunities passed you over. But let me tell you what others couldn't. You weren't overlooked. You were protected, because what's coming is so sacred, so massive, that heaven had to first shield you from the noise, so you could hear your assignment clearly. If your soul has been waiting for a sign, this is it. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment 777, because your confirmation is closer than you think. Yes, you heard that right. Your confirmation is not months away. It's not on the other side of another breakdown. It's here. It's now. It's you finally realizing the wealth you've been chasing is not outside of you. It's encoded inside of you. You were born with a divine pattern, and every rejection was redirection. Every delay was development. Every financial struggle was an invisible classroom preparing you to carry what others would have collapsed under. You're not just meant to receive money. You're meant to steward wealth. You're meant to build legacy. You're meant to shift generation. But to do that, the universe had to isolate you, refine you, train you in silence. Because it's not just about riches. It's about alignment. Not hustle, harmony, not grinding guidance, not force flow. You didn't come here just to survive. You came here to overflow. And something inside you already knows this. That's why you've been so uncomfortable lately. That's why you've outgrown your current surroundings. That's why nothing ordinary satisfies you anymore. It's because you were never built for ordinary. You were designed for overflow. You were destined for more. And this video, it's your turning point. Not because I said so, but because the frequency behind these words is vibrating at the exact level your spirit has been waiting to hear. So hear me clearly, chosen one. This is the part of the story where everything changes. This is the moment your name stops echoing in silence and starts vibrating through timelines, wealth streams and open gates. You are not lost. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are activated. Let the world think it was random. Let the doubters roll their eyes. Let the old version of you grieve in the shadows, because the universe just moved. And guess what? It moved for you. And this is where your true awakening begins. You thought you were being abandoned, but you were being covered. You thought you were forgotten, but you were being hidden for protection and preparation. Let's tell the truth, chosen one. There were days you sat in silence, wondering why everyone left, why friends ghosted, why family distanced themselves, why you, the one with the biggest heart, ended up with the most empty rooms. But now your soul knows that wasn't rejection, it was redirection. You weren't losing people, you were losing distractions. The universe was clearing the path, because where you're going, not everyone can follow. And the truth is, they weren't strong enough to walk next to your calling. Your gift was too heavy, your energy too rare, your spirit too loud for the ones addicted to noise. So they pulled away. Or maybe you were the one who slowly faded. Not because you wanted to, but because the air around them no longer matched your breath. You were evolving, and evolution requires elevation. But elevation often begins in isolation. Let me speak this over you right now. You were not alone. You were being aligned. It's during the silent seasons that heaven does its loudest work. While you thought nothing was happening, blueprints were being written, doors were being carved, rooms were being prepared in realms you hadn't even prayed for yet. You've walked through nights where your pillow absorbed every broken piece of your faith, tears with no audience, cries with no reply. But what you didn't see was that every drop was watering your harvest. Every unanswered question was a divine reroute. Every lonely weekend was sacred time for the universe to download vision into your soul. You weren't just alone. You were in training, a private consecration, a sacred cocoon. Because you're not being sent out as who you were. You're being sent out as who you were always meant to become. Let this settle deep. Isolation is not exile. It is initiation. The wealth you've been assigned, it's not just paper. It's power. It's healing. It's energy. And before you can carry that, you have to be emptied of what cannot go with you. That's why they left. That's why they switched up. That's why you had to walk away even when you loved them deeply. Because God wasn't just separating you from them. He was separating you for something greater. And I know that kind of separation hurts. You sat in rooms where you didn't belong. You forced laughs you didn't mean. You celebrated others while secretly questioning if you'd ever get your turn. But listen to me, your turn is not coming. Your turn has already begun. What was once silence is now sacred strategy. What felt like abandonment was really an appointment with divine timing. If this resonates with your soul right now, type "I am chosen" in the comments, because even your isolation was a prophecy in disguise. The world taught you to measure success by crowd, but heaven measures by obedience. And sometimes, obedience looks like walking alone, with no hand to hold, no applause to follow, no one clapping when you choose your highest path. But every step you took in the dark, it echoed in the light. The universe kept score, not of your perfection, but of your surrender, of the nights you kept believing when nothing made sense, of the moments you said "I trust," when your eyes saw no way forward. You didn't just survive isolation, you became sacred in it. You learned to hear the whisper, you learned to sit in the stillness, you learned to hold your own heart when no one else showed up. And now, you don't just walk with purpose, you walk with proof. Proof that silence doesn't mean forgotten. Proof that alone doesn't mean unloved. Proof that isolation was actually protection in disguise. You are not bitter. You are better. You are not wounded. You are wise. And guess what? Those same rooms that overlooked you, they're about to watch your elevation. But this time, you're not walking in needing validation. You're walking in carrying revelation. So breathe deep. Exhale the grief. Inhale the truth. You were chosen even when you were unseen. You were marked, even in the quiet. You were protected, even in the pain. Because isolation wasn't your punishment. It was your positioning. And now that you've made peace with your solitude, you're ready for what's next. Because what's coming is not just a breakthrough, it's your unveiling. And this is where your true awakening begins. You didn't become chosen overnight. You were chosen the moment you took your first breath. The signs? They were always there, but no one told you how to read them. So let me help you remember. Have you ever felt things deeper than others? A room filled with laughter, and yet your spirit whispered, "Something's off." You sensed things without evidence. You saw through smiles. You absorbed emotions that weren't yours. They told you you were too sensitive. But sensitivity was never your weakness. It was the signal. You were empathic. Because you were encoded. You weren't designed to ignore energy. You were designed to translate it. And what about those dreams? The ones that came true, the flashes of moments, days, weeks, even years before they happened. You brushed them off. Just coincidence, they said. But coincidences don't come in patterns. Synchronicity does. You weren't dreaming. You were downloading. You were tapped in before you ever understood how deep the line went. From the beginning, your soul knew it was different. The black sheep, the quiet one. The kid who asked questions no one could answer. They called you rebellious. But rebellion is just purpose that refuses to be caged. You didn't fit in, not because you were flawed, but because you were formed differently. You were set apart. Every time you walked away from a crowd that drained you, every time you chose peace over popularity, every time your spirit said no when your mouth hadn't yet found the words, that wasn't you being antisocial. That was your discernment training, because your gift required protection, and part of that protection was distance. And let's not forget the numbers: 1111, 77, 444. They followed you like breadcrumbs from the cosmos, license plates, receipts, clocks, dreams. It wasn't random, it was rhythm. The universe speaks in vibration, numbers are its accent, and you've been fluent for longer than you realize. If repeating numbers, prophetic dreams, or weird coincidences have been chasing you lately, comment "I've been marked" down below, because it's not luck, it's legacy. Think back to the times people came to you with their pain, strangers pouring out stories they'd never shared before, family calling you the healer, friends finding peace just by being in your presence. You thought it was just kindness, but it was more. You are a vessel, a mirror, a frequency of calm in a chaotic world. That's not ordinary, that's anointing, and your soul knew even when your mind didn't. You've always carried fire, that magnetic pull people feel around you, that unspoken authority when you walk in the room. It's not ego, it's energy, heaven-stamped energy. The universe didn't just bless you, it branded you. And when you carry that kind of light, darkness notices. That's why you were attacked early, bullied, doubted, talked down to, not because you were weak, but because the enemy could sense the spark you hadn't seen yet. Let me say it loud. You weren't under attack for what you were doing, you were under attack for what you were becoming. Every sign, every weird moment, every whisper in your spirit that told you you're meant for more, wasn't delusion, it was direction. You've been walking through a map only your spirit could read. Stop pretending this is new. It's not. This is a reminder. You didn't stumble into this message. This message found you to wake you up to the signs, the codes, the confirmations you've ignored for too long. Say this out loud. I was marked from the beginning. I was chosen before I could even speak. And now I see what I couldn't name before. Because the truth is, you were never weird. You were always wired differently, divinely. You weren't imagining it. You were remembering it. So now the question isn't, have I been chosen? The question is, what am I being activated for? And that is where we go next. Because now that you see the signs, it's time to see the gift. And this is where your true awakening begins. There's a reason you've always felt incomplete. Like something inside you was waiting, buried, forgotten, hidden in the dark. Not because it was missing, but because the world was never ready for it. And neither were you, until now. You weren't born empty. You were born endowed with something sacred, something not taught, only revealed. But here's the thing. The brightest gifts are often buried under the heaviest layers. And what buried yours wasn't darkness. It was distraction, shame, trauma, self-doubt. A world that kept telling you to tone it down, to stay in line, to be normal. But you were never built to be normal. You were designed to be divine. You questioned why you cried so easily, why people gravitated to you when they were broken, why you sensed things before they happened, why silence felt louder than words, why pain left you with poetry and heartbreak birthed wisdom. It wasn't coincidence, it was coded ability. Maybe you've always created words, songs, visions, solutions. Maybe your comfort healed people. Maybe your voice shifted atmospheres. Maybe you just knew what others couldn't see. But because no one affirmed it, you doubted it. You buried it. You tried to get real. You tried to fit in. You tried to shrink. But shrinking never felt safe, because your soul was never meant to be small. You tried to serve others, while ignoring yourself. But even in your silence, your gift whispered. In dreams, in gut feelings, in that sense that you're meant to help, create, speak, heal, rhyme. You thought your gift had to look like someone else's, but it was never meant to be replicated. It was meant to be remembered. That fire inside you, it wasn't ambition, it was anointing. The ability to see through people's masks, not judgment. Discern the way people feel, peace around you, not softness. Sanctuary, the messages that come to you in silence, not random. Divine download. You don't just comfort, you carry. You don't just speak, you transmit. You don't just dream, you receive vision. And that's why the world tried to keep you distracted, because what you're carrying would set others free. They told you your kindness was weakness, but it was power. They said you were too deep, but deep is where purpose lives. They said stop overthinking, but you weren't overthinking. You were overfeeling, because your gift isn't in your logic, it's in your light. Comment below if this just woke something in your spirit. Say my gift was never gone, it was just hidden, because that's the truth. It was always there, waiting for the pain to purify it, waiting for your trials to activate it, waiting for the version of you strong enough to use it without needing to be praised for it. That version, that's who you are now. And maybe that's why you've been under attack, why life kept breaking you open, why people misunderstood you, why you never fit in with mediocrity. Because the enemy knew if you ever figured out what you carried, you'd change everything. You'd heal people just by existing. You'd speak and shift atmosphere. You'd walk into rooms and vibrate on a frequency too holy to ignore. Your gift wasn't random. It was assigned. Not because you're special, but because you're willing to feel, willing to walk alone, willing to fall and still rise, willing to burn and still bless. And now, you don't just see glimpses. You see clearly. This isn't imagination. This is initiation. You're no longer just surviving the world. You're here to serve it, because your gift was never meant to sit quietly. It was born to speak. And if no one ever told you this before, let me say it now. Your ability to love deeply is a gift. Your capacity to carry pain is a gift. Your intuition, your voice, your vision are all gifts. Your spiritual frequency is not an accident. It is a calling. You are chosen. And now that you've remembered what you carry, it's time to protect it, activate it, walk in it, because your gift was never lost. It was waiting for this moment. And this is where your true awakening begins. You thought it would get easier once the gift awakened. But instead, the warfare intensified, and you wondered, why is everything falling apart right when I finally feel aligned? Because that's what the enemy does. Not when you're weak, but when you're dangerous. The moment you remembered who you were, the moment your light flickered back on, the darkness took notice. Because your activation didn't just shift you, it disturbed the spirits assigned to keep you small. The attacks weren't punishment, they were proof that something ancient, divine, and powerful was waking up in you. And hell couldn't ignore it. You began to feel tired for no reason. Your mind, suddenly heavy with doubt. Old addictions you buried started crawling back. People from your past returned. Not to heal, but to distract. It wasn't coincidence. It was war. And you were the battlefield. The attacks came through your thoughts. Who do you think you are? You're not ready. You're still broke. They came through people. Friends turning cold. Family pulling away. Support drying up. They came through delay. Plans falling through. Opportunities slipping just as they appeared. And through it all, you started wondering, am I really chosen? Or was I just imagining it? That doubt, it didn't come from your spirit. It came from the war against it. Because the enemy doesn't fight the weak. It fights the rising. If you felt this resistance, type, "The enemy saw my light" in the comments. Say it with boldness. Because now you know what's really happening. See, when God starts to elevate you, hell sends distractions dressed as comfort. Toxic relationships you already outgrew. Cycles you've already broken. Thoughts you've already healed from. They return, not to test your strength, but to test your memory. Do you remember who you are? Or will you trade your breakthrough for what used to feel safe? This is the battleground. Not just around you, but within you. And here's the truth no one tells you. Becoming your highest self will cost you the version of you who settled. You've had to let go of people you once loved, break habits that once comforted you, sit in silence when your soul was screaming, fall down, and rise again over and over. You thought you were being broken, but you were being built. You weren't being cursed. You were being called to lead, to create, to walk as someone who's no longer looking for the light, because they are the light. Every betrayal forged your discernment. Every rejection refined your direction. Every delay protected your destination. This isn't destruction, it's divine strategy. Remember, you don't get attacked for what you're doing, you get attacked for what you're becoming. And who are you becoming? You are becoming someone the world cannot unsee. Someone whose presence shakes comfort. Someone who doesn't follow trends, but sets frequency. Someone who walks into rooms and makes the atmosphere shift. Someone born for impact. And the enemy's worst fear is that you realize how powerful you are and refuse to dim it again. You see, the pain was never about your past. It was about your future. It was about stealing your focus before you could claim your throne. But now, you've seen too much, felt too much, survived too much. You're no longer begging for peace. You're no longer asking for permission. You walk in authority. You're no longer hiding your gift. You've accepted your anointing. So let this part of your journey be a vow that no storm will make you silent, that no delay will make you doubt, that no wound will make you withdraw. Because chosen ones don't shrink when they're shaken. They stand taller. Chosen ones don't beg to be accepted. They align with destiny. Chosen ones don't fear attacks because they know the fire didn't break them. It forged them. Take a breath. Right now, feel it. That's the shit. That's the power settling back into your spirit. That's the knowing that no matter how hard it's been, you were never losing. You were leveling. You didn't come this far to stop now. You didn't survive this much just to stay quiet. You didn't fight these demons just to sit in silence. You're not here to exist. You're here to embody the divine, the powerful, the unstoppable. So walk forward like the battle has already been won, because spiritually, it already has. And this is where your true awakening begins. You've crossed the battlefield. You've walked through the fire. And now, you're not just healed. You're activated. Something inside you has shifted. You feel it. You've stopped asking for permission to shine, because you finally remembered you were always meant to lead. Chosen one. This is no longer about waiting for a sign. You are the sign. This is the moment you step into your assignment. You no longer blend in to stay safe. You stand out because you were sent out. You don't apologize for your energy anymore, because your presence is prophetic. You don't seek validation, because your assignment isn't up for debate. This is the phase where your gifts begin to move through you. The wisdom, the intuition, the healing energy, it's no longer sleeping, it's flowing. Say it in the comments. I am walking in divine purpose, because now, when you speak, people stop scrolling. When you create, atmospheres shift. When you show up, alignment follows. Not because you're better, but because you're aligned. You were called to speak life into the lifeless, to see light where others only see darkness, to create paths in places that looked like walls. You are the builder, the restorer, the messenger. You've always known this. You just forgot. But now the veil is gone. Now your voice has weight. Now your presence has power. And you've started to notice the right people are showing up. The right doors are unlocking. The resistance feels different. Not heavy but holy. Because you finally understand you're not chasing your calling. You're walking in. Let's be clear. This doesn't mean the journey is easy. It means you're now moving with clarity, with confidence, with divine backing. You were forged in silence. Now you speak with fire. You were hidden in waiting. Now you move with revelation. You were tested in private. Now you carry power in public. And the world is watching, not to judge, but to witness what happens when someone refuses to stay asleep. This is when you realize you don't need a platform to shine. You are the platform. You don't need permission to heal others. Your energy does it before you say a word. You don't need applause, because heaven already approved your name. Your assignment is not a career. It's not a title. It's not a brand. Your assignment is the truth you carry. It's the way people feel when they're near you. It's the shift that happens when you enter a room. It's the light that wakes up others who didn't even know they were asleep. You're not just helping people. You're activating them. You're not just sharing a message. You are the message. You don't just speak about purpose. You are walking evidence of what divine purpose looks like. So from this point forward, you protect your peace. You steward your gift. You walk like someone sent by heaven, because you were. This isn't about hustle. It's about alignment. It's about hearing the whisper and moving without hesitation. It's about being in sync with divine timing, knowing the right words, the right rooms, The right assignments will find you because they're assigned to you. And now that your gift is no longer hidden, you carry responsibility. You're not just here to rise, you're here to raise others with you, to show them what's possible when you stop dimming and start deciding. This is the beginning of the most sacred chapter yet, where your obedience meets your overflow, where your identity meets your impact, where your spirit meets the assignment it was always destined to carry. So rise, chosen one. This isn't the moment to shrink. This is the moment to shine. This is why you were hidden. This is why you were refined. This is your assignment. And this is where your true awakening begins. There was a time you wondered why you were being passed over, why your name wasn't being called, why your breakthrough seemed delayed, buried under silence. But what you didn't know was that heaven had already written your name. Not in ink, in fire. You weren't forgotten. You were being prepared. You weren't ignored. You were being hidden for impact. You weren't denied. You were being positioned for a reveal only the divine could orchestrate. And now the world is about to see why. The years of isolation, they were your incubation. The heartbreaks, they were divine edits to your destiny. The moments you cried in silence with no one there to witness your pain, they were sacred contracts, witnessed by heaven, signed in tears, sealed in faith. Chosen one, your wait was not wasted. Say it loud in the comments. This is my time. The world will see why I was chosen, because now the curtain is lifting, and behind it stands not the broken version of you, but the awakened one, the version refined by fire, the version heaven always saw, even when you could. This is the season where everything you went through begins to make sense. Why they left, why it hurt, why the delay felt endless, because this moment required a version of you that couldn't be rushed, a version with authority, a version with clarity, a version that walks into rooms and shifts the energy just by breathing. People will ask, how did you do it? Where did this come from? When did you change? And your answer will be simple. I didn't change. I remembered who I was. Because while they were watching you fall, heaven was watching you rise. While they were counting you out, the universe was rewriting your destiny in silence. And now, everything hidden is being revealed. This is your emergence. This is why you had to go through the valley, because the mountaintop was never meant for the faint-hearted. You've been to the edge. You've seen the darkness. And you didn't break. You rose. Now you speak with fire. Now you walk with favor. Now you move with divine accuracy. Every rejection, it carved space for this revelation. Every betrayal, it purified your spirit. Every lonely night, it watered the soil for your emergence. And now, the world will taste the fruit of what only God could grow in silence. You are not stepping into this season empty-handed. You are carrying legacy. You are carrying healing. You are carrying breakthrough energy meant to unlock others. This is not just success. This is prophetic fulfillment. This is the part where they finally see what heaven always saw. You were never ordinary. You were always marked. You were not called to entertain. You were called to awake. You were not called to blend in. You were called to disrupt. And you are no longer waiting, because the world is finally catching up to what your soul has known all along. You are chosen. You are ready. You are rising. This is the season where the hidden becomes, the silent becomes a sound, the waiting becomes a wave. And you are the one they said wouldn't make it. You are the one they counted out. You are the one they overlooked. But now, you are the one who will carry the fire. You are the one who will show them what divine timing looks like. You are the one who will lead the ones still lost in the dark. Because your name, yes, your name, has just been written on heaven's billboard. And now, the world will see why. You are not broken. You are born of fire. You are not you were held back until the divine hour struck. You are not about to rise. You have already risen. And this is where your true revelation begins.
God has placed 2 more divine messages on your screen. Tap to watch. Both videos carry powerful truths you shouldn't miss.